Now, if you'll take a moment to look over here, dear comrades, you'll see the next part on the tour of our glorious republic. This is colloquially referred to as our poop pit. And this marvel of human engineering can process the average human waste produced by an American Taco Bell per day. A truly extraordinary feat. So incredible is this eighth wonder of the world that it is able to process a full 90% of human solid waste without backup. A feat in which our people are so proud of and are so dedicated to extolling the virtues of that it graces our republic's 100 ruble bill. Greetings, comrades. It's a new year, and you know what that means. It's time for another new Workers and Resources Soviet Republic tutorial. I don't know what it is, but at the beginning of just about every year since this game, or at least since I've started playing this game, I always come back to it in the winter months. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just like the cold Eastern European aesthetics that draw me to this game, but as stated, it's the beginning of a new year, and I have been drawn once again back into the world of Soviet Republic Workers and Resources. And today, I want to deliver to you guys the definitive edition of my How to Start a Successful City in Realistic Mode. Some people thought that there was some serious issues with my last tutorial, and to be fair, there certainly was. And over the last year, I have deeply refined my methods, and I am very excited to show you what I have today. Also, this tutorial will include obviously improved systems from the last one, as well as the new systems that they added, such as the maintenance and garbage systems. So without further ado, let us jump into a new game. It will be similar to the last parameters we had. We're once again going to start on Eastern Europe, medium hills with no population. Overall difficulty, our money amount, we are going to continue to stay at medium. Although with the setup I'm going to show you today, I do think it's very possible to do this in hard mode with a little bit of refining, though I will leave that up to some other people to refine it a little bit further and get it there. So obviously we're going to enable realistic mode. We're going to do great for unsatisfied citizens. Energy management, we're going to enable waste and demolition management. Obviously the new systems are going to enable. I'll keep building fires on normal. Economic, complex crime and justice, complex traffic simulation, moving sun. And then the one thing I do like to always do is I like to have all vehicles available. After you've played this game so many times, it definitely gets a little bit tiring to use the same 1960s buses over and over and over again. That being said, though, I always limit myself to things that are in the relative ballpark. Like I don't buy a bunch of 1980s buses in 1960. And just doing a one last double check. Everything looks good here. We are going to start our scenario. All right, comrades, we have spawned into our republic. And for the first few initial moves, things will be relatively similar as the last tutorial. We're going to scope out the same spot right over here, right next to Stadalenia. And the main important things you want to look for a starting position are multiple junctions, multiple roads, that is. As you can see, this one has 3 roads available that we can use, whereas several other border crossings only have 1. For example, if you wanted to, you could also choose to start a city here. The reason I like to start it a little bit further north is because we have access to the river, which is just nice to draw water from. So as I said, our first initial moves will be relatively similar. We are going to start off the very first thing is going to be building 2 roads. And since we last played this game, I'm very happy with the quality of life adjustments they've made for it. For example, having now angles when you draw your roads out, having protractors. I think they had that before, but they definitely now have the very precise angles and length, which makes drawing out precise roads a heck of a lot easier than it used to be. So that being said, I'm going to draw our first road Perfect. And we're going to take a nice little curve here. And then we're going to have this road draw along the river. And then have another curve. I'll make this one a touch bit tighter. Come up here just a touch. Another last curve. And this one will kind of spread off into oblivion here. And over this mountain. That's kind of where I'll stop it for now. So this is our first kind of initial road, our main street, and we're going to double it up. Because if you don't double up, it's going to be very painful, create a massive traffic jam at the border, and it's very unpleasant. And after that, we're going to have a couple of zones here. So I've broken down this method to, we're going to have 5 initial zones. We're going to have like a border zone, import-export zone, or whatever you want to call it. That'll be obviously set up at the border. We're going to have a construction zone, which will have our construction offices and construction resources. Up here, next to the river, there's going to be a residential zone where our goods and services will be and our people will live. Down here is going to be our work zone, where obviously we're going to have most of our industry and utilities. Lastly, back here is going to be our agricultural zone. I'm going to take one more road here. Represent this is our main sort of agricultural road here. And another good practice I like to do is every time I have a crossing like this, every time I have just kind of a single road jut off like this, I'll have a crossing here so people from either side can easily get to it. And speaking of crossings, we're going to have one more here. This is where our sort of our aforementioned import-export zone will be set up. And then the last things we're going to draw is going to be our residential area. And this one, you need to be a little bit more precise. And the reason is I like to have my residential areas, the roads be at exactly 300 meters as much as possible. They have increased the actual foot traffic path to above 300 meters. That being said, this kind of 300 meter box that we're going to draw will allow your citizens to not only get at everything that will be inside of our kind of square that you will see, but also everything on the rings as well. So I always settle 300 meters is a good guide to set up your initial roads here. 300 meter little square, that will do us perfectly. I hate having to round these corners because if you don't extend the roads, the game will force you to do that. Now, I have to try and find my exact 150 meter point in between these two. And that should be about the center. Again, it doesn't need to be exactly precise. It needs to be pretty good. So in here, we're going to place our bus stop. So regardless, we're going to be able to build a big bus platform right in the center here. But the purpose here, right, is we have kind of a nice little center area where we can get in and out of. And then from that, we're going to have our main arteries stretch out. And that will be kind of the setup for our central blocks here. As you can see, it's not 100% perfect, not 100% lined up. That being said, once again, it doesn't need to be. And then we're going to finish up with our initial road construction with the construction area. And we'll connect these two roads here. And beautiful. And then within the construction area, I'm going to do one last thing. Those ones I won't connect because they'll probably be temporary. But I just like to make sure everything is well connected. Okay, last thing. Actually, no, never mind. I already set that up. So this is our initial road structure here. And we're going to start filling things in and it will make more sense. So let us begin our journey by building our import-export area. So at our import-export area, what we're going to plop down is we are going to plop down a couple of free construction offices. And obviously these are the bread and butter of making things work in realistic mode. And then on top of that, I am also going to put down 2 vehicle depots, 1 technical office, and that'll just be for snowplows when the time comes, because it'll be useful to have someone right near the border plowing the streets. And then lastly, free gas station. And that reminds me, I'm going to put one over here so I don't forget. And that's it. That's all it is to it, to our initial import-export area. Very, very simple. So what we're going to do for our 2 construction offices is everything that is going to be close to the border initially is going to go here, which will be our buses and our cement mixers. I don't have any intention to build a cement factory or anything like that, so we're going to have to rely on the border to bring in cement. And with that, where is our good old cement mixer? Take these. And then for our road depot here, just before I forget, we are going to get 2 oil tankers. And then we're going to also get 2 of our beautiful dumpers here. And then in its next door slot, we're going to get 4 open hauls. And then I'll also buy the snow plows right now, just so I don't forget. And that is that. But I'm going to get our oil going as soon as possible here, because that is the very first thing you need to do when you unpause the game. Is I actually probably should have bought the oil truck first. It's not the biggest deal, but you need to get him importing and exporting oil as soon as you possibly can. All right, so first things first. You are going to load oil at the customs warehouse. You're going to unload 50% of it at this gas station, and then whatever is left, you will unload. Whoopsie! You will unload at the major gas station. So that is the border setup for now. Now onwards to our construction setup. Of course, you can, if you want to, use a distribution office to distribute oil. However, they have added some new wrinkles to this game, and we'll talk about them as we move on. But one of the things they have done is they've put the distribution office behind a research unlock. So you need to build a Communist Party headquarters and then research it before you get the distribution office. Meaning that the only ones that you get initially are the free ones, and I ended up using those for other things as time went on. So while yes, it isn't as efficient to assign it like this, or assign your vehicles like this, we are going to need those distribution offices for other things. Now, onwards to our construction area. So we are going to have a few open storages here. So I'm going to just pump out 4 of them. And then, in addition to that, what I'm going to do, and this is something, one of these things is, in my opinion, not at all negotiable, which is getting a small aggregate storage. Set up. The free large storages, the free open storages that they give you are garbage. They are very, very bad and completely useless, and they take forever to load and unload. Therefore, I recommend that you splurge, dear comrades, and save yourself a lot of headache by... Okay, go. And save yourself a ton of headache by setting up an aggregate storage here. So not 100% perfect, but it'll get the job done. The one optional part is this truck aggregate loading. You don't need to build this. You'll get, in my opinion, decent mileage out of just small aggregate storage. But I do like having the truck aggregate storage as things start to heat up. The one thing to keep in mind is that in order to get this to work, you do need to power it. So if you're starting out and you set all your guys to go to the truck aggregate loading section and they're not bringing anything out, you know it's because it's not powered. However, the small aggregate storage does not need power to get goods out of it quickly and efficiently. So just a little thing to keep in mind for you guys. Now, let us finish up by placing the last of our construction offices, because we are going to put all the remaining free construction offices that we have in this area here. Oh, whoops, that's why I can't build anymore. We're maxed out. Okay, perfect. And, in addition to that, I'm going to throw down a road depot. It's not going to get a ton of, actually, I'll throw down 2. They don't get a ton of mileage, but they are, again, nice to have. And then, before I forget, I'm going to put another technical office here in town, and that will help, of course, plow snow. Okay, and that is our construction area for now, but just to show you guys something, and I usually don't do this at the start, this is something that I do later, but I'm going to put it down just to show you guys, and I'm going to suspend construction on it because it's not a priority right now. So our actual construction office, I'm going to get a nice 16 slaughter here. We're going to put one right here. And then another thing we're going to do is we're going to get a small... Oh, shit. I didn't even know we got a free demolition office. That is dope. Okay, you know what? We just need a free... this is something that you will be happy to have when the time comes. So plop down a free... I didn't even know I had a free demolition office. I'd always been wasting my resources building small ones. Anyway, it is nice to have because while it is, again, one of those things that, you might not need... but now with the new additions to the game, once you've started building a building, you can't just delete it. You actually have to demolish it now. And you will probably misclick, as I have misclicked in the past. And having that that demolition office ready to go when you do is going to make you feel a lot better. And now, before we move on to filling out the vehicle slots in our construction area, I just want to show you guys quickly where our residential buildings are going to go. Another thing you may have noticed is that prefabricated buildings are now locked behind a research, just as with a distribution office, meaning that the largest buildings we are going to build, these ones I don't like because they're too long, so we're going to go with these little flats here, and we are going to, as much as we can, keep them right next to the road. Because these are residential buildings, they don't need to actually be connected to a road network, not even for garbage, and we will discuss that later. But as you can see, I like to put my residential buildings in this kind of pattern right here. We will start off with our modular design here with 8 apartment blocks. And this positioning will give them the utmost access to everything that we have available. And before I forget it, because if I don't do it now, it might not get done, one of the things to keep in mind when building this little bus area is making sure to build one of these little paths like that so people can walk across it. And if you don't do that, you're going to have a bad time. Okay, and again, these residential buildings are going to be the very last thing we actually build, but oopsie. I just wanted to show you guys the placement. Okay, so now let us fill out our various construction offices. So we're going to have one that is going to have nothing but dumpers. We're going to have one that's going to have nothing but open hulls. We start to make some actual decisions here. So, first decision I want to make is I want to have some road cranes. So I'm going to pop up 2 of them. And that is my personal preference. And then to assist those road cranes, I'm going to grab a couple excavators. And we have, what, 2 more, right? Okay. So in the next one, we're going to have to make sure that we have a few bulldozers. They will also be nice to have as backup. And then with the bulldozer, I have a couple. I'm a few different minds of what you can do for your next. But I'm gonna have one excavator here, and then I'm going to leave the slot open for something that I deem fit. And then over here, I'm gonna do something similar. For our covered halls, you don't need very many. I'm gonna get 2 covered halls. And then again, similarly, we're going to leave them open. And let me just go through here, just make sure I haven't forgotten anything. Okay. One thing you may notice is we don't have a roller and we don't have a paver. And the reason is I actually got a, well, not well-worded comment, a very helpful comment from someone in my last episode that asphalt roads, especially at the start of the game, are not worth the investment and cost that it takes to build them. Gravel roads will do you just fine. So that is what we're going to do. And of course, before I forget, let us start off by building our first gravel road on this outside track here. So now, as you can see, we have 4 open storages here. We are going to start by filling up those goods. And again, we're going to do this. You could use the distribution office to do this. We're going to do it the inefficient way and have it set manually. So we're going to have 1 for every type of construction good. So first off, I'm going to have 1. This is going to load up for bricks. Which one was that? That was open storage, right? Okay. Okay, this one will be bricks. Open storage 2. Open storage 2 will be steel. Open storage 3 will be prefabricated panels. Lastly, open storage 4 will be for boards. Okay, and off they go. They're going to go start doing their thing. And then now that they've left, I'm also going to grab 1 more covered hall here and put it in there. Whoops, excuse me, not a covered hall, or rather an open hall. And he's going to get off and do his thing. Okay, so now we'll start to have those vehicles pour in. They'll start to gas up and get everything they need. And now we're going to turn to one of the very big modifications for this new run that we're doing and this new method that I'm doing. The very first thing after we've got this kind of initial setup all nice and designed for us, we're going to now build our agricultural zone. And this has been one thing that I had a big illumination on, a big epiphany on just how 100% important this is, especially at the start of a realistic mode run, because the large farm that we're going to build is going to produce goods entirely without workers, which means that we will be able to sell, though not very expensive goods, off to the border. We're going to be able to sell some of the crops that we make before we bring in workers, and that will help offset some of the construction costs. And then not only that, getting this up early is going to allow us to build a massive stockpile of grain to turn into booze, food, fabric once we get the ball rolling. Once we get the ball rolling and have people actually move in to our little republic. So let me show you the farming setup. Nothing super crazy here or super complicated. Obviously, we're going to plop down our large farm. And then, oh, what am I doing here? Whoa, whoa, we got an oil storage. What is going on? Well, again, dear comrades, they have adjusted this game to make farming a little bit more complex. It's not like crazy or anything like that, but basically there's a fertility system now. And we are going to take that into account. And before, we have the opportunity to actually get the ball rolling, because it's unlikely, although we might actually get lucky and get our farm done and we could start sowing. We probably won't, but at least we can get some fertilization done. All right, and with that being said, the next thing we're going to want is a large grain storage. So, how big you want it, it's up to you. I think I'll go with this this little honker here. You could go with the step down, but we'll go with the big boy. Is that you need to make sure that you have a few road connections set up. You want one going out and one going in here, or else it won't work properly. So, okay. So that will be that's our initial farm setup. And now we can plop down our fields. So one thing I have realized is that I have not been using my large farms to their utmost efficiency. So with one large farm to keep, or excuse me, yeah, with one large sort of farming depot, you can fit 10 fields. So that is the number you want to keep in mind. One large farm is 10 fields. So that is exactly how, that's big fields, that is, and that's exactly how many we're going to plop down right now. So now with that, we can kind of let our vehicles fill out for a bit. We're going to get some resources starting to come into our initial construction area. And one thing I forgot to mention is the reason I got a fifth vehicle here is because I like to use it as kind of like a bonus vehicle. So I've got one coming to every single one of these depots here and filling it out. And then if I need an extra one, I will have him, up and at 'em, so to speak. And usually it ends up being bricks is the one that you have to assign an additional vehicle to, because instead of prefabricated panels, now that they're behind a tech, bricks are your kind of main resources for the beginning stages. Now, like I said, now it is time to set up our initial utilities. So we are going to start with, of course, electricity. And the way we're going to do this is to do everything. So we're, of course, going to continue to import power from our nearby comrades. But I'm just going to always throw down, and I just throw down a high voltage switch here. And the reason I do this is in case I need to, at some point, throw off a high voltage line in the future. I don't know if I will, but I'm just being preemptive. That being said, the main thing you want, of course, to do is, now that we have that, we're going to do the power transformer. And I like to do the power transformer pretty close to our initial area here. But as I said, things are going to be a little bit more organized. So one thing I'm going to do is keep all of my power connected to the road here, or going along the road. So let me show you what exactly that's going to look like. So now that we have the medium voltage switch laid out, what we're going to do, the transformer, we're going to throw down a couple medium voltage switches, and these are going to be here to help us organize the flow of power. Probably won't need anything here, but we might need some here. So now let me show you what this looks like connected together. So we're going to take our high voltage wires. Doesn't really matter which ones. We're going to go over here. We're going to connect, and we're going to bring it over to our high voltage switch. Bring that over to the transformer, and bada bing, bada boom. Next, we're going to move into our medium voltage wires, and I always like to have these big ones here, especially because now these aren't going to go near our residential areas, as you're going to see. So we're going to connect all of these medium switches together. Okay, perfect. So yeah, now as you can see, our main power will be nice and conveniently located along the road, and I'll show you what I'm going to do now. So one thing that people, again, rightly roasted me for in the last tutorial was not using enough of underground wires and underground pipes. I accept that, and I've realized that they are the way. They are the way. So as you can see, going into our residential areas now, I'm now going to have underground power lines head into them, rather than have, yucky overhanging power lines, and everybody looks at them and they get sad and all that stuff. I should mention that our two dump trucks here that are eagerly awaiting assignment, they are going to dump gravel into this small aggregate, and that will be where we draw most of our gravel from, and of course that will make things significantly more efficient for us. Okay, now with our power laid out, let us talk about water. And water is going to be relatively the same as last time. I just have one small minor adjustment. A couple things about when it comes to making your water systems. The main thing that I want you guys to keep in mind is the force that is pushing your water through the pipes. And there are two ways that you can generate that force. One is through gravity, and one is through the pumps that the game gives you access to. And we're going to use both in our setup so you can get a good idea of what I mean. So, for our water, we are going to draw from the river, as alluded to before. We're going to just plop down a few pumps right here. They get in nice and close, so whoops. Yeah, that's why they're not building. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3. And then they are going to be connected by a large pumping station. So our pumps are going to pump water directly into our water treatment plant. And then coming out of our water treatment plant, we are going to need a small pump. And that will pump the water up our large tower, or large water tower that is. And then our large water tower will distribute water throughout our republic using the force of gravity. So water gets pumped out of the river into the water treatment plant, which then gets pumped up out of the water treatment plant up into the water tower. And then from the water tower, the force of gravity will push the water throughout our republic. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully... It took me a little while to kind of understand exactly how everything comes together, because I'm not exactly a plumbing expert, but kind of once I figured out this idea of like the force, like what is the driving energy or whatever it is you want to call it, that is pushing water through the pipes, once I started thinking it in that kind of respect, it started coming together much more clearly for me. So now obviously we're going to connect these all together. And that is going to be our basic water system. And then from there, we are going to have a water substation. I'm going to plop it right in here in our kind of bus platform here. And that will make sure that it's nice and central. But here's the thing here. Before I connect this to the main pipes here, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set up a water switch system. And I will show you why. So the reason that we're setting things up in such a manner is so I can organize the flow of my water, which as you can see, so it's going to come down here, going to go to this main water switch, and then it's going to get pumped off into the town, and then I'm going to have a main water line which is going to continue along our road here. And this is one of the things that, thank you City Skyline for making me think of this, which is just keeping our water right along the sections of our road to help keep things nice and organized. And there you go, that is our main water line, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now it's on to poop. And one thing I did want to mention is that when it comes to building water, I always just build big water pipes. Don't want to bother with having to replace them. However, with sewage, you can get away with the medium pipes, which I'm going to do because particularly when it comes to gravel, sewage pipes are very expensive. But I'm going to show you guys a little trick here, where instead of dumping our sewage into the water, what we're going to do is build a poop pit. And the poop pit is one of my favorite strategies in this game to get rid of our sewage. So what we're going to do... Oh, no! The poop pit is What it sounds is we are going to build a pit of water. I guess maybe we should build it maybe a little bit further down here. And we're just going to dump all of our sewage into that. And that's all there is to it. We're just going to hope that people don't go too close to it, and or, you know, homeless people don't set up camp there. But yeah, it is, in my opinion, the most effective and efficient way to get rid of your sewage in this game. However, as you can see, the process of actually digging down to water can be a little bit tedious. Oh, there we go. There's pay dirt. As you can see, once you get low enough, you will eventually get to water. Basically, you need as much water as it takes to jam one of these on it. Oh, ooh, 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 beautiful. Oh, no. Damn. I almost thought it was going to be easy. This can be like a real pain in the ass, just so you guys know. Oh, perfect. Come on. Come on. Okay, good. Thank God. Okay. All right. Sewage plant up. Now, and the nice thing about sewage is that it is easier than water. The big thing you have to remember about sewage is, like we always say here, shit rolls downhill. So you always have to have gravity in mind. So again, we're going to put our sewage tank right here in the center next to the bus stop. And we're going to have a similar setup for our sewage here. Okay. And that should do us. And like I said, we're going to do medium pipes for sewage. And hopefully this doesn't give us too much difficulty when it comes to actually planting the pipes together. Again, because you are moving downhill, it's good to start at the top and work your way down. Which is what we're doing here. Now here's the one I'm worried about. No, we did it. That's not the best, but it'll get okay. Good. It's just about getting the job done. Perfect. Okay. And that is our main sewage line there, comrades. And once again, that's all there is to it. So we have power, water, sewage set up. Next, I think it's time to think about heating. And that will give us the opportunity to start scoping out our industrial zone. Okay. So heating is relatively simple again. So we're going to have a heat exchanger right here at the edge of town. And that should be enough. Ooh, okay. To extend to everybody. If we need another one, we can always put it on the other side. Now, this is a perfect time. We finally have our gravel aggregate ready to go. So now we can get these guys starting on the job of getting that done for us. So when it comes to heating, I always go with the big heating plant. I've had issues with the small heating plant before where I buy it and it's not enough to get the job done. It just stinks. And of course, to keep things moving when it comes to heating, we're going to put aggregate storage right off the side here, and that is going to hold coal. Can I get under here? Nice. Okay, so that will be our heating. Ooh, and before I forget, and that's another thing, like I said, people roasted before, was not having underground heating pipes. Yes, that is certainly the way to go. And the reason is because you don't lose heat through the underground heating pipes. And that should give it enough range to make it to where I need it to go. Really? Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay, heat is now established. So unfortunately, we are not going to get to sow our fields right now. We were not able to finish the farm in time, but we are done it. And I'm going to show you guys here what I like to do. I have found my favorite way to organize this is what I call a 1-2-3 system. So it's one harvester, 2 tractors, and then 3 covered halls. And then you do that. Until you basically run out of spots. Well, amazingly, when I stopped clicking was the exact point when we had fully fleshed out our farm. So, as you can see, we now have it fully maxed out, and the only thing we need now is to get this little silo finished. So, regardless, when I see that these are full, and I'll see that I have these guys running around with full beds, what I do is I just park them in the depot. And then when I see, oh crap, I'm losing materials again, I'm losing construction materials, what I'll do is I'll just click start, and he'll just restart the route and start supplying it again. Oil silo is done here. We can now begin to start bringing fertilizer to the farm. And as I mentioned, this is a new system in the game. It's pretty easy to manage, though. It's not going to take a whole lot of, micromanagement from our part. So we're going to take that second oil cistern. So yeah, we're going to have it go to the custom house. We're no longer going to have it gather gas for us. Instead, it's going to unload liquid fertilizer. It's going to load and unload liquid fertilizer. And we're just going to let it do its thing. And it's going to continue to build up a nice reserve of fertilizer over time. Okay, with fall approaching, I think it's time we start to lay out some of our first parts of our industrial sector. Initially, although this isn't necessarily our industrial sector, we are going to set up our dump. You can, I guess, this is maybe not 100% necessary to build the incinerator. Well, you don't necessarily have to have an incinerator. It's not 100% necessary. It is something that I do like to have at the start. You can get away with just making a dump and then having your dump trucks drag the waste to the border and then getting rid of it that way. It's not, it doesn't cost you very much money, but it is pretty time and effective. But I do want the nice one with the claw because, claws are cool. So that is going to be our dump area. And then, before I forget, I also like to, in this same area, and we'll also have a vehicle repair station. This will be pretty low on the priority list, but eventually, over time, our vehicles will start to experience wear and tear and break down. They aren't going to get to that point before we start to bring people, but a year or two after that point, they'll probably start to see the effects of wear and tear. So it's best to have that placed out beforehand. Now we're going to go into the real money makers here. Similar to our last playthrough, the main money maker we're going to have is the fabric and clothing factory. So it is a very similar setup to what we had last time. And now the next addition to our little industrial area here is going to be the grain storage. We're going to have a lot of grain. And the fabric factory uses said grain to, of course, produce the goods that it needs to produce. So we are going to store the grain in this grain storage rather than worrying about warehouses or anything like that. It's going to get the grain directly from the silo. So we're going to do a food factory. Whew. And then, of course, we're doing the same thing. We're going to have a silo, but this time it's going to merge in between the two. And bada bing, bada boom, we have a wonderful little work setup here. All right. So, obviously our workers have enough, our workers have the ability to reach all of these various buildings. So that is going to be the initial beginnings of our industrial area. But before we finish things off, you guys probably remember that these are going to need sewage and water. So this is, of course, part of the reason why we set up our pipe system in advance. So it'd be very easy to plug in sewage and water. Oh yeah, that's right. These require, the fabric factory that is going to require direct sewage input and water output. Keep the shit moving smoothly. Awesome. Okay. So now we have those connected. What we are going to need to do is connect them to power as well. So let's do that before we move on from this area. All right, well, our underground is looking pretty snaky, but that's okay. People can't see it. So I'm very happy with the way things are going. Our main gravel road is now almost extended into our industrial area, and now we're getting started on the second lane, which is just going to continue to increase our efficiency. So now with that out of the way, it's time to start laying out our residential area. We're going to put down a couple of very important commercial buildings. One is going to be the shopping center. I'm going to try and ram it in here. Perfect. And that is obviously going to give our people access to food, and because this is the one you want to build, right? Because it has access to, I guess we can't see it from here because it's not done yet, but it's going to have access to food, electronics, clothes, and meat, which is going to give you everything you absolutely will need. Next, we're going to get a pub, so people can drink themselves stupid at the end of the day. Next, we're going to do a cinema. Mash it in right here in the corner. And then the last, hopefully we can mash it in, is going to be our indoor pool. And she was mashed. Perfect. Then in addition to that, we will have we'll have a couple of football fields. Where's a good spot? I don't really want to have them take up precious space inside the ring, so they can be outside the ring. Okay, so that will deal with our basic goods. We don't need to have like a silo outside of the shopping center or anything like that. With our setup here, our trucks are going to be able to get in and deliver goods pretty easily, so we won't have to worry too much about that. Now we're going to move on to estate infrastructure, and we're going to have a fire station and hospital. One of the things that I really have liked that they've done since the last time we played this game is make it so they have some smaller options here. Like, I'm going to get this medium fire station right here. I could go for the small one, but you never know. I like to have the hospital outside of the main ring. Still accessible by most people, but not, because it's a relatively large building. It still takes up a lot of space, right? So I don't want it to take up a bunch of space inside my residential areas. Okay, so that is the basics of our emergency. Last thing that we're going to do is we are going to plop down a very small police station. It's not, again, a huge priority, but of all the emergency services, the police are the least important, but they will build up if you don't get it done. And we will also have to build a courthouse. And again, nice of them to add a small courthouse. And again, I like to have this thing outside of my main area here, because it's a kind of a superfluous building. So now we're going to do the kindergarten. And what I like to do is I like to take them and I like to do them kind of kitty corner from one another. So I'm going to have one in this corner. And then another one And that will make sure that everybody has access to at least something. And then we're going to do a similar setup with our basic schools. You can go for the smaller ones here because we're going to have 2 of them, 1 in each corner. We'll plop down a good old-fashioned Soviet emblem. You know, can never have enough of them. Okay, and going through, that is going to be the basics. That's pretty much our entire basic setup laid out here. Now it's really just waiting for everything to be deployed. The nice thing here is with our little square, as you can see, we have space opened up. And one of the things that we're going to do, you know what, I'll place it down now. You know, I'm not lacking for time or space right now. So what we'll do here is, in order to make sure we are keeping up with our technology requirements, fortunately they have a small Communist Party headquarters, and we're going to plop one of those down, and that will allow us to start researching. So with that, I think I can just kind of let her rip for a little while and see what happens. Actually, one small, though important element, which I forgot here, is we are going to also put a warehouse jutting off the side, just like we did last time, although this warehouse is going to be much more efficiently used than it was before. And then in addition to that, while we have it out, we're going to do a meat stored. So now with water, power, heat, storage, everything like that, our industrial sector's all laid out. Again, it's just a matter of time as we wait for our workers to do the work that they need to do. Well, the winter is here, and with it, the snow has arrived. And I am very thankful that I've already prearranged my plows in a way that will keep things moving pretty steadily throughout the winter. But, of course, as usual, I'm sitting here thinking things like, what did I forget to talk about? Is there anything I forgot to talk about? And yes, there is. That is, of course, garbage. One of the new systems they've added into the game is every building will produce some form of mixed garbage. Fortunately, again, this is not the most difficult thing to take care of, but what you need to do is put some garbage trucks in here. And the main thing you want to be aware of is the garbage trucks come in 2 varieties. There's going to be a small container and there's going to be a large container. Small containers obviously are for residential buildings. Most residential buildings will produce small containers of waste, and industrial buildings will produce large containers. So this is going to be for our residential area. Let us get a few garbage trucks and we'll be laughing. And they will start to do their thing once our people produce garbage. In the meantime, you don't have to do this, as the garbage trucks will go directly to the buildings and grab the garbage if they need to. However, having a few stands here will make things a lot easier, as your people, as you can see, will bring garbage from the buildings and collect them into various stands. And I'm going to plop a few of them down here in a few key areas. You know, just put them in a few small corners if you can. And that should be enough coverage for our little city here. So basically that just makes things more efficient, that rather than the garbage truck going and getting a small little load from every single building, he'll just drive around and get these bigger loads from these collection areas. And then what will happen is that he'll take it to our dump once it's finished. They'll dump it in here, and then our workers will burn it, and then we won't need to worry about it anymore. One thing, though, we're going to do before I move on is I'm going to assign, actually, waste for all of these areas. And one thing I'm going to do right next to the hospital is I'm going to assign a large waste area. And the reason for that is because the hospital will produce hazardous waste. And while, yes, we're still going to burn that, I don't know if there's any huge ramifications to burning that, but we can burn it, and it is just nice to have an area where we can sort out that hazardous waste for us. And while I'm up here, let us start to plop down a couple garbage collection areas for the rest of our industrial buildings here. And there we go. That, I think, will officially bring us to the end of our initial infrastructure placement. Now, one of the things I forgot to mention is that this new setup, yes, does move our food and alcohol processing plants away from the residential area. That was the thing I got roasted for the most in my last tutorial, and I 100% regret that. That was the one move that was like, spur of the moment. How bad can it be? Turns out it was really bad. The one thing you didn't plan turned out to be the one thing I regretted the most. So regardless, what the issue was is that unlike a lot of games, Workers and Resources Soviet Republic takes pollution pretty seriously. And over time, pollution will degrade the health of your citizens to the point where they start to get very sick and or die. So it's best to keep that part away from their residential area, so at least they don't have to breathe it in all day long. Okay, we can see here at the end of August, our first wheat fields have produced. We're harvesting, and you can see our vehicles are doing their job. They're headed out there, grabbing that wheat, coming back, and we're already up to 500 tons of crops. So now with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get 4 covered hulls, and then all these guys are just going to go here, here, and that's it. And there they go. So that will bring us in a nice trickle of money. It's not going to offset our costs or anything like that, but it is going to be a nice continuous trickle coming in to, at least give us a little bit of money. Okay, and we are now entering 1962, and we continue to be just shrugging along here. Nothing really to report. At the end of the season, we have 3,000 tons of crops ready to go. What I'm doing right now is I'm trying to rush these grain silos into production, and that way I can start moving grain from our larger farm silo over into these supply ones. So, as you can see, things are starting to shape up a little bit. We've got our heating plant set up. We've got our dumping set up. We've got our roads pretty much entirely ready to go. Okay, so now we have our first grain silo finished, and we can begin shuttling over resources for our inevitable welcoming of our new comrades. Well, thankfully, things are coming together. Our heating setup is actually entirely complete. So as you can see, we have our coal aggregate storage here, which brings in coal to our heating plant, which then brings it and distributes. Actually, oops, not quite done yet. We are still waiting on this heat exchanger to finish, and then we will be done. It is everything it needs. Regardless, now that we have finished the setup, what I'm going to do is I have a new dump truck, which I'm going to assign the princely task of loading up coal and dumping it off in the aggregate storage. So when we are ready to go, we will have plenty of coal waiting to keep our citizens warm. Now that our warehouse is finished, we can begin to start the distribution process. So in this warehouse, we are definitely going to control what we want and control what we need. So we are going to initially have chemicals, obviously. We are only going to have a tiny bit of food and alcohol. Oh, whoops. Sorry, I forgot to turn that on. We will only have a tiny bit of food and alcohol. No crops. No fabric. And the absolute bare minimum it will let us have of both food and alcohol. And for clothes, yes, we'll keep clothes because we are obviously going to sell clothes. Electronic components we will need, mechanical components we will need. We will need a tiny bit of plastics, a tiny bit of electronics, and yeah, one tiny bit of explosives. So let's organize this a bit. So I changed my mind a bit here, and I am going to go with a different setup where I'm going to go with the export warehouse and an import warehouse. And as such, I decreased the amount of clothes that I am going to intake, uh, just really enough to get us started. So if you want to see exactly how I'm bouncing this warehouse, this is what it looks like. And we're going to plop down an export warehouse right now. So as winter approaches, we are careening towards our goal of having people begin to enter the city in 1963. At the start of 1963, I've already started to lay out our bricks, lay out our flats so they can begin to get the resources and build in relatively short order. So I'm concerned if we're going to get all the plumbing done and some of the final production buildings. I'm also a little bit concerned about. But other than that, I am extremely happy with how things are going. And like I said, we should be able to start this thing up in pretty short order, and I think things are going to go very smoothly. So as the time of our completion rapidly encroaches, one of the things I realized is that I forgot a prison, which is not the most important thing right now, but it's definitely nice to lay it out initially. And obviously you don't want it next to your residential area. I'm going to put them right next to our heating plant, and hopefully they can just stay out here and inhale the smog. So now we have workers purifying our water. And as you can see, it's going to start going into our main water tower. Right now it's being used faster than it is being produced. But give it some time and everything is going to work out a-okay. Oh, here we go. Perfect. Now it is filled up, or the water tower is filling up, and our people officially have clean water to drink. And they have power. They have access to goods. Apparently they can't get to the kindergarten. That's right. This is not ready yet. That being said, the part of the reason why we're bringing in workers right now is so they can finish building some of the things that we need them to build. And with that in mind, I'm going to invite a couple more immigrants from the Soviet bloc, just because they will have the capacity to build for us. So we got people shopping. Oh, this is another thing. Important to limit our staff just initially, just because we don't need so many workers servicing our people right now. We need them to be doing more important things, such as purifying water and building buildings. In the meantime, though, there are still several buildings which need to be completed, particularly in the industrial area. Wonderful. Our next flat is online, and more people are beginning to come in. Again, I'm going to purchase a couple more, or rather invite a couple more immigrants from the Soviet bloc to give us more workers, because right now there is plenty of work to be done. So the big thing here is to manage your workers and make sure that they are building things that you need. For example, I suspended construction on the small Communist Party headquarters. We don't need that right now. I need them to be working in other areas. So another thing I realized is that now, of course, that we have people, we are producing garbage. I've forgotten to set our garbage people to their task. So really all you have to do that is we just have to set them a dump for them to go to. Thankfully, our dump is finished. So rather than send them to the border and continue to muck up our already mucked up border, I'm just going to do that. And as you can see, off they go. They're going to go start collecting garbage from the various buildings and taking it to our dump. And then once we get a few more workers, of course, they can go to the incinerator and start burning it. And really, I mean, when it comes to trash, that's pretty much it. Okay, off he's already heading to the dump. We'll talk a little bit about it more once we get the industrial section up and running. I'm going to see where exactly is this guy going. It's going, okay, it's going right here. Wow, they had already overflowed these garbage containers without me even noticing. And there, yep, that's what he's going to do. He's going to grab it, and then he's going to go off to the dump, and then once we get the manpower, we're going to burn it. Now that the fall is here, we do officially have enough workers to get people in the heating plant and get us heating, or get us heating, get us heated. Thankfully, we also have people in the incinerator burning up the garbage. Unfortunately, our piping still isn't done there, so neither of these places have clean drinking water or sewage. So hopefully we'll get that sorted. So one of the things that I will do here is I will buy, for example, I'll just show you very quickly. I will buy a very small bus, and I'm going to filter by speed. Yeah, I'm gonna buy a bus, sweetie. Sorry, my kid is here listening to the recording. Anyway, I'm gonna buy 2 of these speedy microbuses, and what they will do is their entire purpose is to go right from the platform and right to the heating plant. And I will do this especially in the winter. It's not a big deal right now, as we still have plus 12 degrees in terms of our temperature. But when the winter comes, you definitely don't want to have your people starting to freeze. So I'll have like a direct bus line heading straight to the heating plant to ensure that doesn't happen. And now that we have the excess workers, I also have buses going to this platform. And again, right now, it's just construction workers because I should put this down because our fabric plant isn't done yet, although it will be done shortly. Once we get our pipeline finished, things will be looking really good. And then this thing can start actually producing goods. Oh, of course, we need to start distributing chemicals in here as well. Okay, things are definitely coming together now. In fact, I can start to add workers to our new buildings and our new production centers because we are good to go, actually. We have chemicals. I have chemicals being distributed to my fabric factory. We have another clothes factory almost done. We have this one completed. We have our food factory finished, producing food right now. And we have our distillery almost done as well. Everything is looking awesome. So another thing I just realized is that our new vehicle repair station has just finished. And this is a new system they brought into the game. And actually, I hate to do it, but I am going to need to buy another covered haul. Open haul. I don't like to buy too many open hauls because I find they kind of get useless. Same with dump trucks as the game continues. But regardless, I'm going to buy one and I'm going to dump some steel in here. We don't need any aluminum right now. We don't have any aluminum vehicles. But I've also assigned one of our distribution offices, the same one that brings in the chemicals to our fabric plant, is also going to bring in the various goods into our vehicle repair station so they can repair their vehicles. So the thing about this distribution center here is that usually workers will go and prepare vehicles. Here, we'll increase the working range as well. But one of the things you want to do is turn off allow repair to cancel when long idle. They don't wait very long. Normally this would be great, but I think they need to up the time that they wait just a touch because they give up very quickly, it seems like. Anyway, so now that we've got that set up, we've got everything set up here, we are pretty much laughing. And I think within the next coming year, we'll be able to pretty much put everything we have into gear and away we'll go. We've also finished our piping as well. This over here is just like extra piping. This is just to build and continue on in case we need to continue on down here in the future. So moving into the winter here, things are looking pretty good. We were able to get one more tenement finished. Unfortunately, whenever I would try and get too many people to work, they would all become construction workers rather than going over here where I needed them to. As you can see, our coal storage is quite substantial. We've had more than enough to make it through the winter. Pretty much done with our initial setup here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over maybe some of the finer points as we continue throughout the last bits of this setup, or to see how things go. And then to close out, I'm going to show you guys a couple expansion options for where you can move into the future, what sorts of buildings would be the next types of things to add on to this type of setup, and so on and so forth. And the nice thing here, I just want to show you guys that the water tower continues to be quite full, pumping out 99% quality water without any issues. So our water system is running beautifully. Once again, our marvelous poop pit continues to do its job, spewing it out into this disgusting pool. So now that it's officially March 1964, our entire setup is done and everything is running smoothly. Smooth as butter, one might say. We have plenty of grain in the silos, which are outputting copious amounts of both alcohol and food. And on the other side of the street, we have our fabric and clothing factories also doing what they need to do, supplied by copious amounts of grain. And then we have our kind of utility section. We have the prison is now finished, although people keep escaping because I don't have enough buses to keep maintaining workers to come here. Off they go into the jail. But yeah, everybody keeps escaping because we don't have enough workers to keep things going forever, apparently. But there is someone in here. There's one guy, and you need to keep food and clothing here supplied, but it's pretty easy. It doesn't go through a lot of resources, as you may imagine, particularly when there's only one prisoner. But now, the main reason I want to bring you guys here is it's time to talk a little bit about industrial waste. So we went over, I only need 2 big ones. I don't need 3. But yeah, we went over residential waste, which is, again, fairly simple. You just make sure that you have, at the start of, at least in Realism Mode, a free technical office assigned to the dump, and they'll go around, and if you want to be more efficient, make sure you've got your containers being housed in concentrated areas. But for industrial waste, it's very similar. There are a couple of key differences. As you can see, we do already have waste laid about, and it is starting to be filled up, so we should definitely get our guys on that. I'll use it to show you the only type of manual input, I guess you could call it, that this setup requires, which is that your incinerator will produce ash and other debris, and that can only be taken care of by taking it right to the border. And fortunately, it's pretty cheap to export it, and it's not a lot. But what will happen is that waste truck will go over here and will take this mixed waste here, which contains over 50% ash and 20% metal scrap, and they will just take it to the border and make sure that our incinerator is nice and clear. But that being said, I should set our dump for here, and that will allow our waste trucks, when they get here, they will go to these various points that we have laid out where they can collect trash, and then they'll just dump it here in the dump, and then it'll get incinerated. And that is pretty much it for industrial waste. Again, the big thing to remember is that because these are industrial buildings, you can see that they will be using these larger trash containers. You need to make sure you have a waste truck which is suited for the right container. Just to show you again, we'll go to the residential containers so you can see the difference. The main thing being is obviously the residential ones are smaller and they have a little, they have a lid on them, and they're going to need usually one of these type of dump trucks that has also a covered lid or a covered hull. And there you go. That's pretty much waste management. And we also have vehicles now being repaired. As you can see, we have vehicles coming in and leaving. You can see the actual wear and tear, which is pretty cool. This only has 26% wear and tear. But yeah, you can actually see the wear and tear of vehicles. They will start to lose their paint. They'll start to look a little bit ragged, like they got some hard miles on them. And then when they come out of the repair depot, they look fresh and clean and good as new. So I kind of like that detail. I like the small little details. So while we're talking about maintenance, one thing you guys should remember is that in addition to in addition to vehicle maintenance, they've added in building maintenance. Fortunately, this is pretty easy to manage simply through the construction office. And once we're all done with our major constructions, I'm going to condense most of our free construction offices into our official paid for one. But when we're done that, over time, when our building becomes worn enough, the construction office will automatically send vehicles out to repair it and maintain it. So you don't, generally speaking, don't need to worry too much about that. I believe the threshold is set at 50%, and currently none of our buildings are even close to that. I mean, we just finished building them, but it is something to keep in mind as the game continues. And we now have officially completed our small Communist Party headquarters. This acts as a small university, which will allow us to get the ball rolling on some of these basic techs. The first thing we of course, are going to research is logistic optimization. And this will allow us to build the distribution office. Well, actually, we'll need another tech to build the distribution office, but getting that started with now will get us down the road. That is definitely, without a doubt, I would say the first tech to take at the beginning of the game. There are a couple more that you can research, but none of them are anywhere near as valuable as having that distribution office. I think it's kind of shitty that they put it behind a tech tree, but whatever. Some of the other things, just so you guys know, that they've put behind tech trees is in terms of energy production. They have put in pretty much every energy producing resource except for coal behind a tech tree. So if you wanted to get any kind of power at the start, you would need to have a coal plant. Although, like I said, we are just importing it from outside. That is way less hassle. Like I mentioned before, you don't need to worry about your field fertility as soon as you've got your liquid fertilizer, which, as you can see, we've got quite a substantial store built up. And you've got the tractors to fertilize your fields. Everything will take care of itself. Over the years, since we've built these fields, you can see that our continual fertilization has pushed it up to an actual fertilization of 200%, or sorry, actual nutrient level of 100%, 200% fertilization. But you see what I mean about having to make do with your distribution offices that you get at the start. I have all the free ones set up here. They all have vehicles, and they all have important, essential tasks listed to them, and I simply can't spare anyone. The only one idling is this guy, and these are our residential vehicles, and they just take, food and alcohol straight from this warehouse into the town. So they have an extremely important job, which cannot be altered. So our setup continues to go well. I should just mention I have 3 buses going to this area right now, and it's delivering a very nice amount of workers. We have 3% unemployment, so clearly everybody is getting to where they need to go. We have people being happy, and happy's going up. Lifespan's going up. Health slightly down, unfortunately, but I'm sure we can figure something out in that regard. Now, as I mentioned, this is pretty much it. This is the new and improved starting setup. I think it is a vast improvement over the first run, in my opinion. Cut out a lot of the fat and streamlined it considerably. And the nice thing I like about this setup is it offers a lot of room for expansion and for where you want to go. And again, for like a modularity, right? So one of the things, like when I wanted to design this kind of residential block, is I wanted it to be something that was uniform and easily copyable, but also people could kind of iterate on their own. Because now that we have all the main buildings here, there are some things which I could plop down. For example, I could put down an orphanage now that we have the extra manpower and resources lying around to put down something like that. And in addition to that, what I'm also going to start doing, or what I would start doing, is I probably won't get to it in this video, and what I would start doing is maybe building out some additional residential buildings in here. For example, the ones I will like to try and squeeze in here when I can are these little 30 worker brick flats. They have a pretty good and pretty small and condensed profile. We can fit people in there pretty easily. And I could continue doing that if I wanted to. But that's not necessarily what I'm here to do. It's just kind of to give you guys an idea on what you could do to kind of iterate on these. And again, another big important fact that I wanted with this is that you could just take this and kind of copy paste it, right? We want more people. We can copy paste this design, maybe over here, maybe down this way, or maybe, in a place like this, wherever we wanted to. We can copy paste these little squares and go from there. And speaking of expansions, it would be also extremely easy to expand our agricultural sector. Just build another large farm, maybe back here, and we can easily fit another 10 fields, build a second farm, maybe even a third farm. If we're feeling very ambitious, get up to 30 fields. Obviously, I'm not feeling in a rush to do that right now, considering that we do have quite a amount of grain that needs to be processed as it is. But over time, with this setup, you can continually bring in more people and continually expand your city to the point where obviously you would need more farms. And when it comes to expansion, I think the last point that I'm going to show you guys for this video is there are a couple routes that I would take for immediate expansion after this. And one of the things I would consider is building a technical university, and that is to get to the next tier of researchers that are available. Regardless, though, one of the things, like I said, I would... Oh, nice. Oh my god, that's amazing. This is a new building they literally just added. Because I have not seen this as a small technical university. That is phenomenal. You know what? I am going to build that right away. It's going in right here. Do I have the space? Thought I saw it. There we go. We do have the space. But the main thing that I would definitely consider in terms of actual resources is I would consider going into coal. And again, another thing that they actually added is that you can no longer look at the map and simply mouse over and see where the resources are. If you remember where they were, you are at an advantage, because they haven't changed. So I do remember that there is coal up in Dem Hills up here. So for example, one thing I would start to consider is, because we need coal for heating, I would move into, and potentially power, I would move into harvesting some coal up in Dem Mountains. Excuse me, as I said, you can see that there is coal here. It would just be a matter of kind of scoping around here and finding a spot relatively close to our republic that I could build a mine and still have workers get to without me, pulling my hair out to get them there. But in terms of what I'm actually going to do to cap this video off, my main expansion would be moving into meat. And the reason is because, as we can see, if we bring up our economy and trade, and additionally, you can see we're doing very good right now. We're only losing 2,000 rubles, I guess 3,000, but that can definitely be altered. There we go. Now we're getting some goods back, but we have so many things to export in this warehouse right now that I'm really not that concerned about it. Once I get the distribution office up and running, we can actually start to move those goods out of here. But anyway, moving into what I was saying here, as you can see, that meat can be a pretty sizable purchase, and will be an ongoing purchase, right? Let's go look at last month. Meat was 1,000 rubles. This year, meat is our third biggest importer. Meat is our third biggest import expense. Excuse me, our fourth biggest import expense, right after chemicals, fuel, and steel. When it comes to alleviating these expenses, I would look at them and be like, which are the easiest for us to alleviate? And that would be meat, because we already have the excess grain. We don't even have the technology to start moving into fuel or chemicals or steel yet. So meat is the obvious choice. Well, unfortunately, our small shopping center is on fire. Thankfully, we have the firefighters available to put it out, so it won't be a big issue. But I should just mention that, yes, we do have our emergency services raring to go. All right, so let me show you guys how I would set up this meat farm here. Meat farm. Like, first off, we need a livestock farm, which we can get right here. It looks like we're going to be able to silo it in pretty easily. Good enough for that. And then we are going to need a slaughterhouse. It is a slaughterhouse. It literally is a slaughterhouse. It's right here. And then lastly, we'll have a... We don't need a livestock hall. I think if you really wanted to, you could put it in here, I think, without too many issues. Just so, yes, we get it close enough. Okay, we could get it close enough to get it power. Which one is stopped production? Okay, it doesn't matter. We're in the middle of June. We don't need to worry about the heat plant stopping production. Anyway, last thing I'm going to silo onto here is a meat storage. Now the big question is, can I get people to walk there? No. But something I did anticipate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and put in a cool little, and we'll do concrete because it's cheaper, cool little pedestrian overpass here. So let's see if we can throw that together and make it a little bit easier for people to get from point A to point B. That, beautiful. Okay, perfect. And now that, with that little overpass, that will give our pedestrians enough walking capabilities. It'll give them enough walking path that they can just walk right over the clothing factory and get to these new farms when they're finished building. And of course, we're going to get the grain right from the silo, so we don't have to build any new silos, don't have to add in any new connections, which is the whole reason why I built it over here. I can just continue to have what I have already, bringing in grain. I can continue to have the buses I have already, bringing in people, and we will be laughing. Alright, it looks like we're poised to finish our last two major buildings at roughly the same time. Our livestock farm is just about finished. We've already finished the slaughterhouse. Yes, it is a slaughterhouse. In case there was some confusion about the nature of this building, it is a slaughterhouse. And in addition to that, we are just about... Oh, we finished up our technical university. That is wonderful. Cool. Well, we need construction utilization. Well, that makes sense. Alright, let's have them do that. Well, actually, yeah, get a couple more professors. We could always use more professors, and there we go. Our technical university is established, along with our Communist Party headquarters, which is about to finish our distribution network. Actually, that will probably be the last thing we'll do. Once we get some workers there, perfect. They're going to start doing their thing, start slaughtering those cows, and we will be able to then take it and export it. And, of course, feed our own civilians. Alright, now we finally got this. I really only need... Yeah, I only need covered halls. Okay, and now we are going to start to really ramp this thing up here. So now that I have everything set up, I'm just going to leave these free distribution offices as is. I'm just going to keep letting them do their thing. I already need them anyway, so I don't really need reason to change them. I just needed way more trucks on the network to do what I need them to do, to get everything to where I need to get it to. And with that, I think that, yes, I can officially call this a really officially done setup. And I'm, again, going to let things run for a little bit. And we shall see how things turn out when we actually have some money to look at. So now that we have our distribution trucks doing their thing, they're working overtime to empty our excess warehouse. But here's what I mean by, like, the real moneymaker is clothes. This has a full 4.5 tons of clothes, and it's going to net us a full 7,000 rubles, which is pretty sizable. And then we have another one here. A lot of clothing going out, which makes sense. We did have a lot of it built up. But once that goes out, unfortunately, it's going to be... well, there's still lots to go, so... I'm not that worried about it, I guess. On April 1st of the new spring, things are looking incredibly good for our republic. We are starting to claw our way back into a serious profit, even though our warehouse is now pretty much empty. Our export warehouse is now pretty much empty. It is still always continually updated with new goods coming in from the industrial sector. That being said, though, now the major thing I do is just make sure that all my production chains are running smoothly. Shortages with grain here, so I put 4 more trucks onto bringing grain into these new silos, and I'm gonna think I need at least 2 more here now that we have the livestock farm. And that's one of the things, like if I were to tinker around with this setup more, and if I really wanted to refine it and get it into the necessary window of what is it? I think on hard mode, you start with what, 2 million, or is it 1.5 million rubles? Regardless, if I wanted to fit it into that window, I was thinking that for this farm setup, instead of having like a grain silo right here, I would replace it with a train capable, or a train loading grain silo, and then build a train connection instead, and just build a train connection taking grain continually out from the farm right here to the border crossing, and then use that to build up money. And then kind of once I would had enough money, I would then expand, maybe build more farms, for example. Start off with like 20 farms and just keep exporting grain and build up that money, and then you could from there build the rest of your republic. But that is just something that I was thinking about while I was building this. So at this point, I am done building. I am not adding anything more to this setup. I am officially done, and we are pretty much done this video. I'm, again, just going to show you guys some of this economic data here. We're going to go a little bit longer and collect a little bit more. But let's see how we did last month. Last month, we finally started to make some real money. This is, again, after all of our exports have been cleared and our surpluses have been cleared. We are making 25 grand a month, and I expect that to continue into this month as well. The only thing that I am now starting to get worried about, amazingly, is our grain supply is slowly diminishing. We went down from 5,000 tons to 3,000 tons. The next thing I'd start to think about is another farm setup, build another large farm, and then again we kind of build up this way and build another 10 farms, and then hopefully that would alleviate any grain issues. So to close out our tutorial here, I think I'm going to give you one final look before we look at those final tallies of our 5 aforementioned zones that we started the video with. The first one here being our import-export zone. Next is our construction zone. The agriculture zone. Here's our industrial zone. Now the utilities section of our industrial zone. And last, but certainly not least, our residential block. Complete now, of course, with universities and all other amenities. All right, and now one last shot of the whole thing in action. Okay, and now it's time to wrap this whole thing up and look at our statistics. And as I mentioned before, I did realize that, yes, I can't believe how quickly we started to burn through all of our grain storage. So I decided to kind of adjust some of our workers a little bit. But the next thing I would do is definitely build that next large farm, so I would continue to have large stores of grain to work with. All right, so let's see. Now that we haven't really done anything, we've just kind of been hands off. We'll go the last month. All right, 30,000 rupees, pretty good. Let's see what we made most of our money off of. Obviously selling clothes. We sold about 15 tons of clothes for 20,000. And then we had alcohol, food, and meat, also rounding out our exports, which is pretty nice. You know, they're all basic goods, but they are certainly keeping us afloat. And when it came to imports, most of our imports, once again, came from chemicals. Really sucking up a lot of our money is our chemical imports. So maybe that would be the next thing I'd look at. And then after that, we have fuel, which is unfortunate. Not much we could probably do about that for the foreseeable future. And then coal. And then lastly, power. So definitely, we've got a pretty good balance sheet. Let's go for this whole year. Let's check the whole year. Up to date, we've made plus 250,000 rupees. And most of our exports are, again, clothes. Our money is, again, almost all coming from clothes. 3 times the profit of anything else. In fact, I think it makes, yes, more profit than everything else combined. That's another thing I wish I had stopped doing, was selling my crops earlier. I shut that down a while ago, but that was a mistake I made, was continuing to sell crops at the border house rather than just storing them. So that is something to keep in mind. And then when it comes to our imports, again, chemicals just really taking up a lot of our balance sheet. And then fuel, as you would imagine. And then steel, although steel is going to definitely lessen now that we're pretty much done construction, and I have a nice supply of steel anyway, in case we need to build anything extra. Then we have electronics, and then power. Coal, once again. And then all these other kind of basic construction goods. So yeah, that gives you a pretty good impression of what you can expect when it comes to a setup like this. Like I said, I'm very happy with this. The only real tweaks that I would have made is start work on a second large farm earlier, and also adjust this little warehouse here so it doesn't create this bottleneck. But other than that, I am extremely happy with this setup. And with that, we have come to the end of our ultimate how to start a successful tutorial in Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic. With this tutorial, you should be able to get yourself going, get all the major systems in place, get your water, get your heat, get your waste management and everything else you need, plus with a tidy profit coming in to continue to expand and go from there. So with that, I want to thank you guys for watching. This has been Comrade, signing off for now, and until next time, you guys take care.